Welcome to another edition of Daily Airline News, focusing on the loss of Air India 171. I'm Geoffrey Thomas, and once again delighted to say, joined by my co-host Richard Godfrey in Frankfurt. Good morning to you, Richard.
And good afternoon to you, Geoffrey.
It's a beautiful afternoon here in Perth, Western Australia. The storm clouds have gone. So viewers, this episode, as promised, is lithium batteries, episode 197. The FAA, that's the US FAA, has logged over 600 battery-related incidents since 2006, including 43 in the first half of 2025 alone. On the 5th of August 2025, a KLM flight from Sao Paulo to Amsterdam was disrupted when a power bank caught fire mid-flight, sending smoke through the cabin. Crew members responded swiftly, containing the situation with extinguishers. Fortunately, no injuries occurred. The incident underscores persistent safety concerns with lithium-ion batteries prone to thermal runaway. On the 7th of July 2025, a Delta flight from Atlanta to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, was forced to make an emergency landing at Fort Myers in Florida when a passenger's personal device caught fire in the aircraft cabin. A Delta spokesman confirmed, adding that flight attendants used their training and procedures to deploy a fire containment bag to extinguish the battery. On the 28th of January 2025, an Airbus A350 caught fire while preparing for takeoff, reportedly triggered by a power bank in the overhead bin. The evacuation resulted in 27 injuries, though no fatalities. This prompted South Korea's move to ban battery banks and e-cigarettes from overhead compartments, restrict charging via in-seat USB ports, and limit passengers to carrying no more than 5 power banks. EVA Air and other carriers quickly implemented similar rules. Lithium batteries, like the ones often found in portable chargers or power banks, are often linked to several emergency situations on planes. The EASA issued a Flight Information Bulletin, SIB, in May 2025, urging airlines to strengthen communication to passengers on lithium battery restrictions and safe handling practices. Emirates will begin enforcing a complete ban on power bank usage during flights starting from the 1st of October 2025. Richard, how many lithium batteries do passengers carry on a typical flight? I have a funny feeling you're going to surprise me.
Yeah, I surprised myself. ICAO and IATA have done a number of studies between 2019 and 2023 when they show that from passenger surveys that the average air traveler carries between 3 and 6 lithium-ion batteries in some form. Most everybody has a mobile phone, so that's one battery. Quite a few have a laptop or a tablet, that's a battery each. It's very common certainly for business travelers. Then there's the smartwatch, the earbuds, the e-cigarette, each with 1 or 2 small batteries. And then there are the power banks, and often 1 or 2 are carried. So business travelers and frequent flyers often carry 6 to 10 batteries on multiple devices and spares. And leisure travelers tend to carry fewer, but it's still between 2 and 4 on average.
Wow, that's a lot. What about the lithium batteries that are part of the aircraft system itself? Richard, for instance, how many lithium batteries on a 787?
There are 1,004 lithium battery cells on a Boeing 787. It depends on the model and seating configuration, but 1004 is the maximum. It's on a 787-10 with the maximum seating configuration. So they're probably between 600 and 1,000 on a 787. There are two very large batteries, the main battery in the forward EE bay and the APU battery in the aft EE bay. And they are both 8-cell lithium cobalt oxide packs manufactured by GS Yuasa in Japan. And they're monitored by a Securaplane and Boeing battery management system. These batteries are 75 ampere hour each, around 32 volts, and a 1.2 kilowatt per hour capacity per pack. On the 787, the Boeing and GE and Rolls-Royce designed the engine FADEX to be tightly integrated into the 28-volt DC electrical architecture. Each FADEC has an internal energy storage module. The backup power is available to keep FADEC logic alive through transients, bus transfers, and generator APU startup sequences. Now, there are also a whole bunch of ELTs and ELUs on board, but they are all standalone systems. But the FADEC is integrated with the main and the APU battery. The largest number of lithium cells is in the ELUs, the emergency lighting units. And many 787s use rechargeable lithium batteries in their ELUs instead of the older NICD, nickel cadmium batteries. And on a 787-10 with a maximum seating configuration, there will be about 300 ELUs, and that's 900 lithium battery cells. The emergency locator transmitters contain another 50 lithium cells. And then there's the flight deck equipment. There's electronic flight bags and portable devices supplied by Boeing or by the airline. And each of those has a lithium-ion battery pack with 2 to 4 cells per unit. And some avionics also has backup lithium batteries, so standby instruments and clock units. They use the small lithium coin cells, the CR2032 or similar. And the emergency slides have lithium batteries monitoring the emergency slide systems. And cabin smoke detectors often incorporate a lithium backup cell coin type. And so you get about 1,000 aircraft cells. And if you take the passenger load, average 4 or 5 devices, batteries for a long haul flight and business travelers, you can see 2,000 plus lithium cells in the cabin and another 1,000 in the aircraft. So there's about 3,000 lithium cells all told.
Wow. It's certainly an impressive number, isn't it? So what was the most serious lithium battery related aircraft incident or accident, I should say, Richard?
That was UPS Airlines Flight 6. It was a Boeing 747, a cargo plane carrying a large load of lithium batteries. And it happened on the 3rd of September 2010. And it was just taking off from Dubai and bound for Cologne. A large shipment of lithium batteries in the main deck cargo went into thermal runaway shortly after takeoff from Dubai. Fire and dense smoke spread rapidly, overwhelming the crew. The crew attempted an emergency landing. They tried to return to Dubai, but couldn't do that. And they lost control of the aircraft and it crashed, unfortunately killing both pilots. And it narrowly missed crashing into a fuel station, so a filling station. And if it had hit that, there would have been even more damage on the ground. And there was another cargo, also a 747 from Asiana Airlines, Flight 991, and that was carrying a large load of lithium batteries as well. That was on the 28th of July 2011 en route from Incheon to Shanghai. And fire broke out in the cargo hold containing the lithium ion batteries and flammable liquids. And the crew declared an emergency and attempted to divert, but the fire spread uncontrollably and the aircraft crashed into the sea. And again, both crew were killed.
Mm, very sad. What was the most serious lithium battery related passenger aircraft accident then, Richard?
That was ANA Flight 692, a Boeing 787-8 from Takamatsu to Tokyo Haneda on the 16th of January 2013. And shortly after takeoff, the main lithium-ion battery in the forward electronics bay went into thermal runaway. We're showing a picture of that battery and the external damage. You can't see too much on the external damage, but it was nevertheless a complete write-off, this battery. So the crew declared an emergency. The aircraft made an emergency landing back at Takamatsu. All 129 passengers and 8 crew evacuated via slides. There were no deaths, but 27 passengers sustained minor injuries during the evacuation. And there was another Boeing 787, this time Japan Airlines 787, and that was at the gate in Boston on the 7th of January 2013 when it caught fire. Shortly after, passengers deplaned from the flight, that was Flight 008 from Tokyo to Boston. Ground crews saw smoke in the aft cabin. Fire crews discovered flames in the APU lithium-ion battery located in the aft electronics bay and beneath the cabin floor. And firefighting response managed to extinguish the blaze, but the battery pack was also severely damaged with several cells in thermal runaway.
Now, these two events caused the worldwide grounding of the 787 with immediate effect. So how long did that grounding last, Richard?
Yeah, so Anna and Jal grounded all 787s the same day, and the FAA then grounded the worldwide fleet the next day. We're showing a screenshot of the damage internally in the ANA 692 main battery. The grounding lasted 3 months while Boeing and the battery supplier, GS Yuasa, and regulators developed a redesign of the battery system. And this was both redesign of the battery itself as well as the housing. So now on a 787, you have a stainless steel containment box around each battery, and that is directly vented overboard if there are any gases or smoke, so they can't come into the cockpit or the cabin. And they also included enhanced cell separation in the battery and enhanced the monitoring of the voltage and the current and the temperature of the battery. And they also introduced much stricter charging limits. So how often, how fast, and to what level you can charge a battery.
So all of this begs the question, does it not, Richard? Why do aircraft manufacturers stick to lithium batteries? Why not the nickel cadmium or other technologies?
Yeah, well, there is a lot of work being done on new technologies, but it's not yet advanced enough to be able to be used as an alternative. And going back to the nickel cadmium is also not optimal. Cadmium is, for example, toxic. So it's a bit of a paradox. Everyone knows that lithium ion is riskier in terms of thermal runaway, but as you say, Airbus, Boeing, and suppliers keep going back to lithium ion. And the reason is partly out of technical necessity, partly out of the fact that there is regulatory acceptance, and partly due to market pressure. Nickel cadmium batteries were standard for decades on the 737, 747, A320, etc. And the advantages is they were robust and they were tolerant of abuse and they didn't have any thermal runaway. The disadvantage, though, is the weight and the size. And over time, a nickel cadmium capacity fades, then they require frequent checks. And as I mentioned, cadmium is toxic, so it has an environmental impact. The lithium ion batteries are lighter and smaller for the same power. The packs are sealed. They don't need any topping up of electrolyte. And they can handle much larger instantaneous loads, for example, an APU start. So the 787 and the Airbus A350 both bet on lithium because they have this more electric design philosophy and it requires lighter and higher power batteries. The regulators say lithium ion isn't inherently unsafe. It's unsafe if a failure is not contained and managed. And after the 2013 787 grounding, the standard shifted. Now the assumption is that a thermal runaway will happen. So the system must contain and vent it safely. And that's why the 787 batteries are now in a steel vent box with direct overboard venting.
So are the main and APU batteries on an Airbus A350 also in steel vent boxes with direct overboard venting?
Yeah, well, Airbus adopted essentially the same containment philosophy as Boeing. And Boeing was forced to do it after the grounding, and Airbus cleverly held back and redesigned or designed their battery. It's made in France, not in Japan, for Airbus. But they put it in an aluminium box, not a steel box. And originally, the A350 was designed for a lithium ion main and APU battery, just like the 787. But because of the grounding, EASA in Europe became much more conservative. And Airbus then announced in 2013 it would delay introduction of the lithium ion batteries and deliver the first A350s with nickel cadmium batteries in order to avoid any certification risk. And they introduced then the lithium ion later, once Airbus had fully demonstrated containment and venting to EASA. The battery supplier is a company called SAFT, S-A-F-T, in France, and each pack has 14 large format cells as opposed to the 8-cell 787 battery. And as I mentioned, the containment box is aluminium, not steel, and direct venting to the atmosphere for smoke and gases in the event of a thermal runaway. Redundant monitoring and cut-off circuitry to isolate any failing cell or pack, and insulation and spacing between the cells to delay any propagation or even prevent propagation of a thermal runaway from one cell to the next.
So, Richard, in your view, which is the better design, lithium-ion battery, the UASA one or the SAFT one?
Well, I think in engineering terms, the SAFT one is more robust because it was the design was done at a later point and under stricter requirements from EASA. and it integrates containment as a fundamental design element rather than as an add-on. The 787 has two large batteries. The A350 has four. The UASA battery is lighter in weight. The SAF battery has more cells and they are at a lower voltage. The UASA battery is a steel casing and the SAF is only an aluminium casing. And the SAF has likely a larger separation between the cells than the UASA battery. So there are pros and cons in the design of both batteries.
But of course, one issue is the battery design, as you've just outlined. The other issue is battery management and safety systems. So perhaps you can talk us through that.
Yeah, so each of these aircraft has a battery management system, a BMS, that monitors the cell voltage, temperature, and current. It shuts down charging if limits are exceeded, and it balances the cells to avoid overstressing any particular cell within the battery. It also looks after any contactors and isolation. So it'll disconnect the pack from the aircraft bus if any fault is detected. And it has redundant monitoring, so independent sensors and logic paths to catch any failures and to catch them early. And it does arrange the integration with the aircraft DC system. So mentioned the FADEC backups, which are managed directly by the aircraft power system, and it's not a standalone system. The report from Japan into the original issues highlighted a problem with a relay, the KL relay. Its purpose is to isolate the battery in the event of overvoltage or undervoltage or a thermal fault condition. And what they found out was this relay didn't act fast enough. So they've now improved the system to react fast enough to any thermal runaway.
So then what lithium-ion battery incidents have occurred since that 2013 redesign?
Well, they're all passenger lithium battery issues. We go full circle back to the lithium batteries that passengers bring on board. So United Airlines in February 2023, a power bank caught fire after takeoff, prompting an emergency landing at San Diego. 4 people were hospitalized for smoke inhalation. A KLM flight, August 2025, which we mentioned, a power bank combusted in mid-flight, filling the cabin with smoke. No injuries reported because the crew acted swiftly. In Australia, Virgin Australia in July 2025, a lithium battery in an overhead locker ignited during descent, prompting an investigation by the ATSB. No injuries reported. Southwest Airlines, November 2024, a smartphone battery ignited at the gate, causing an evacuation and minor injuries. A flight delayed 3 hours as a result.
So then, what about lithium-ion main battery incidents that have occurred since the 2013 redesign?
There were 2 incidents from the Boeing 787, one in the air and one on the ground, and none on the Airbus A350. On the 14th of January 2014, JAL 787 in Tokyo, Narita, main battery single cell venting and white smoke detected during ground checks. So fortunately, this was no passengers on board. And that was a post-fix containment, proved that the containment worked. There was no fire or aircraft damage beyond the battery. And then 13th of November 2017, a United 787 near Paris Charles de Gaulle, was on approach, the in-flight main battery overheat warning, and that was traced to a fault in one of the cells in the main battery. The aircraft landed normally, and the return sector was cancelled while they checked the aircraft out fully. And reports indicate the venting and containment system functioned as designed.
So the only injuries were due to passenger devices, not aircraft devices.
Yeah, exactly. And the seven major incidents where 21 people were injured or hospitalized, and around 29 other minor injuries during evacuations. And they were all related to passenger lithium batteries. And there were no major incidents or injuries related to aircraft lithium batteries.
So, Richard, aircraft maintenance control discrepancy logs show a number of notable lithium battery related system reports post 2013.
Yes, there were a total of 8 issues in different categories. The first category was just routine maintenance, so of the main and the APU battery, and issues that were resulting from voltage or charging or battery swap out. There was four of those, and they all indicate a degradation or faulty charging events, but there were no fire or smoke events. There was one cabin emergency lighting failure. An ELU battery was suspected when odors appear, but there was no thermal runaway. There was one very fascinating foreign object damage. A portable flashlight with a lithium battery was left inside an engine cowling. It was eventually recovered intact. The lithium battery didn't rupture, but it is a so-called FOD risk, but not a system incident. And there was one control equipment backup battery with burn signs found. And this is a genuine lithium battery runaway case. This was caught on the ground. It was contained, no damage outside the unit. And there was one other electrical bus failure, which may or may not have been due to the main battery and the hot battery bus. It could have been a contactor or wiring issue further downfield. So there you go. There are a few, but not many.
But the upshot of this, Richard, is that the passengers and their devices are more dangerous than the aircraft systems.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, as far as lithium batteries are concerned, the answer is yes. It's much more dangerous what we as passengers carry on board than the lithium batteries in the aircraft.
Yeah. Well, that was absolutely fascinating, Richard. And we rely on lithium batteries in our phones and all of our devices. They give us a lot of power and they keep the charge, and they're certainly a great asset to our lives today, our technology life. But yeah, we've got to handle them with care. So thank you very much indeed for that assessment and that rundown. That's great.
You're very welcome.
And viewers, we're going to be back tomorrow to answer your questions about lithium batteries. So that should be very, very interesting. And if you've had any particular stories to tell, well, let us know about those as well. And so please subscribe to us. Please like us. Please keep those wonderful comments coming. We do appreciate them very much. And keep those fabulous questions coming. And as I've said before, even if they're critical, we're up for it. Challenges, please do. So, Richard, thank you once again.
You're very welcome.
And viewers, look forward to your company tomorrow with our episode on lithium batteries. Thank you.